All right. Actually, this session was supposed to be kind of a hands-on session, but since it's online, so you'll have to listen to me to talk more, right? Uh, so why Windows? Not because I'm not fan of Apple. Uh, it's because majority of desktop users are on Windows, right? We are talking about, I don't know what's the current statistic like. 80% of desktop users are on Windows. Any Apple supporter have any more specifics? Probably you can share, right? We are still friends, right? It's not like cannot hang out or anything with Apple users. Anyone else have statistic on the desktop user statistics? Okay, so it's pretty high. So most of the malware infiltration or infection happens on Windows platform for some reason. For like, number one, it is not as secured as Apple operating system, Mac OS, right? There, I said it, right? Apple operating Mac OS is more secure. Number two is Windows is bigger target because more users. No fun attacking Mac OS where there are not many users out there, right? And also that most softwares are written for Windows, so it's easier to embed malwares into Windows-based applications, like what we talked about. Most pirated softwares are Windows software, right? Of course, you can also find Mac software is available on pirated sites, right? So some of the reason is MS Office, primary attack point. A lot of people, you still use MS Office. If you're Mac OS, you still have Office pod that you still use on Mac, right? So that is potentially also a vulnerability point in Mac OS. Ransomware is not going anywhere, as I mentioned. You can probably check for WannaCry, Petya, open source code, where you can actually, if you have background in coding, in networks and all that, you can always take this to the next level and become the next millionaire. I'm expecting to see new ransomwares to come out the next couple of months, because there has been talks in dark web. There's a new robust new ransomware that can even not easily to be taken down, uh, and this time they are also targeting Linux servers as rootkits, and so on and so forth. So it's not going anywhere. It's going to happen. And if you can see that malware is taking an increasingly large toll because of infection in Windows. Cryptojacking is on the rise. As I said, after ransomware, cryptojacking is the big thing. What is cryptojacking? Is basically using the malware as crypto miner, like what I mentioned earlier in the earlier session. Infect your computer when your computer is idle, then it will monitor your activities, then it will run the crypto miner, majority for Bitcoin mining, right? I may use 10% of your CPU resources on one computer. I may have 10,000 computers infected. Imagine how much money I can make by taking advantage of your computing resources, and you don't even know about it. Hackers are now also moving to mobile, right? So there's no running away. Most malwares come through emails. These are some of the facts that are already identified and discovered, right? So these are some of the facts where malware is coming, is going to come from in the future, right? But most of the malware infiltrates Windows operating system. Why Windows? As I mentioned earlier, if you look at the global market share, I need to move this to the side. Okay. If you look at Windows, it's one of the highly used operating system. You'll be surprised to see that even Linux is higher than Windows, right? Where is OS X is pink, about 8%, right? So no fun attacking Mac OS, right? More fun attacking Windows, right? And of course, with the rise of more Linux, if you see the market share for operating system for Linux is basically comes from which segment? This is server. This is desktop, mostly desktop. This is others, unknown, Mac OS. This is what do you call? Oh, sorry. What am I doing? Let me clear off. It's all ink. This is Android actually. Windows. This is others. This is OS, Mac OS. This is unknown. This could be, IoT operating systems. And this is Linux. So if you can see, most of Linux have been, most users in Linux are on server, not desktop. So if you see that Windows has very high user, so that's the reason why you see more attack happen on Windows. And these are malware by OS segment. Which one do you think is Windows? Which one? 1, 2, or 3? One, two, 1, 2. You can see that Windows has typically the highest malware infection, right? Mac OS, and this is Android, right? iOS, too little to show. Okay, so there I said it. Okay, so why Windows is a major target for malware writers? Popularity, poorly designed security mechanism. Most of us are tired of getting patches every day, and when I have urgent thing to do, right? That's when it says, okay, I'm going to restart your computer, and sometimes it takes up to 10 minutes, and sometimes it just hangs, and I'm stuck. I can't do any other work, right? So when that happens, I normally will boot into Linux and do my work over there. So it has to be, you keep receiving patches. We found new security issues. You need to patch. You need to do this. You need to do that, right? And if you look at, I mentioned earlier, common vulnerability and exposure. Okay, let me try to share this. New share. If you go to this website, cve.mitra.org, you can pretty much search for vulnerabilities and exposure that has been found by researchers, engineers, users around the world for not just Windows, for pretty much any technology, any operating systems out there. So I just did a search for Windows. There you can see that the match for Windows, the software that runs on Windows, right? Some of it is related to iTunes for Windows, right? Well, I wish that Apple could have made a more secure app for Windows, right? And the list goes on. These are just 2020. These are app written for Windows. We say even DLL injection vulnerability for McAfee agent in Windows. Well, even the anti-malware software has vulnerability in it, right? Via careful placement of malicious DLL, right? So the list goes on and on and on and on, right? So many vulnerabilities being exposed on application written for Windows and also the operating system itself, right? Okay, let me go back to this. So what can we do? What can we do to prevent our Windows from being a victim of malware infection, right? So major things I think most of us already know what to do is you need to back up, all right? Always back up. You may think that, I should be fine. I don't need backups. So there are two things I do. One, I have a Blu-ray rewritable disk drive, which I back up. So it's a 50 gigabyte disks, which I back up every 3 months. And I also back up to my Google Drive. And I subscribe to Google Drive, pay a subscription, monthly subscription to back up all my documents, my files, and so on and so forth. And this I have to. Why I do this? Because I have experience of losing data to malware before, many years back. So I'm more aware of the importance of backing up. So you need to make sure that you back up at least every 3 months. If you can do it more frequently, even better. And make sure it is all on a removable drive, which is impervious to damages, can last for many years, and also goes to Google Drive. You may say, just why not just Google Drive? What if Google Drives get attacked by a terrorist and the whole data center goes down, everything goes? What then? So you cannot 100% rely on cloud services. Online storage is for immediate stuff that you do. Offline is for something that you already archive. You don't access that often. All right. So that is important. The other reason is when you are hit by malware such as WannaCry and Petya, you don't have to pay the ransom because yours is already on your backup, right? What you probably will lose is your most recent data, which I think is you can live without. You can just recreate it, but most of it will be on cloud or on your disk. You can just recover it back and restore it back. So always update Windows and software. As much as I hate to do this, whenever possible, I will let it do the updates at night before I go to sleep. If I'm busy doing something, I'll postpone. And before I go to sleep, I'll just let the updates run and get it done over with. Windows 10 has so much updates, you don't know what they're updating, right? I don't see much difference in terms of performance or changes to the system, right? Oh, slide is on, still on. Sorry. Can you see the slides now?
Still at the malware by OS segment.
That's weird. New share. Can you see it now? No? Can you see now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I have 3 displays, so I don't know which screen it is on. So I got lost. Sorry. Okay, so we were here. So I mentioned about this. Did you see the Windows CVE? Did you see the screen for this one, the web page? No?
No, no.
Okay, let me share again. Hopefully I don't get lost. Do you see it? The screen?
Yes.
Web page? Okay. So what you're looking at now, what I was talking about earlier, you can go to cve.mitre.org and you can find vulnerabilities for all kinds of stuff, right? It's very updated, and you can see that in 2020, these are all Windows related vulnerability or exposure, right? So this is what I was talking about. Even McAfee anti-malware had a what do you call this, vulnerability exposure. It can be the DLL can be replaced with malicious DLL, right? So they also talk about how can we address this and all that. It'll be updated from time to time and so on, where it originates from, right? So if you're in doing research in malware and all that, this is a very good site to be your resource. If you're looking at IoT, if you're looking at Mac OS, even Mac OS has entries for vulnerabilities and exposures in this site. You can pretty much search for anything you want over here. All right. So let me go back to the slides. Okay, you're looking at my slides, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So prevention, backup, as I mentioned, you know how on Windows you need to go to just go to your system restore, and you can basically create a backup. It will ask you whether you want to do a full backup or incremental backup and so on. Make sure you updates, right? So with Windows 10, you cannot run away. You can only postpone for a while. You cannot escape from getting the updates. So I will schedule it for midnight every night to run the updates, and make sure you are all running on Windows 10. If you're running on Windows XP, please migrate or upgrade. Where's my chat screen? Something is funny here. I can see my chat screen. Alternate H. Okay, so if you look at the end of life EOL, let's look at Windows 7, Windows XP EOL long time ago. Windows 7 EOL early this year on 14th January, right? Windows 8, if you're still using, is 2023. I hope nobody's using Windows 8. It's one of the worst operating system ever. And Windows 10 has a timeline of October 2025. So what do you mean by EOL is that you will not get any more updates for this operating system. If new vulnerabilities are found, you're on your own, right? Microsoft won't help you. You have to live with this new vulnerabilities or exposures that is found, right? So if you're on Windows 7, Windows XP, in my ethical hacking classes, we always demonstrate this operating system to be very vulnerable. We can easily show how we can break into your operating system, inject codes, run services, do remote desktops. It's easy, right? If you, many of the participants after attending the workshop immediately upgraded to Windows 10, right? So be careful when you use Windows 7. I assume nobody is using Windows XP anymore. The the issues that still prevalent with this kind of domain is that we also work with industry a lot. Yeah? I'm talking about large multinationals. When you go into their production floor, some of their production machines still run Windows XP and Windows 7. Some of them I've even seen running on Windows 3. Now, can you imagine that? And this, they are talking about connecting the factory, moving to smart factory, industry 4.0, automation, all that. All these machines will be interconnected using the internet protocol. And when you do that, if the firewall or filtering is not done properly, attackers can easily come from outside or use any of your employees' computer. Like remember the example of what do you call it, WannaCry, where the factory worker took the laptop home. Same situation, I can use the infected computer as an intermediate to get into your production network and hack your production machine. What are you going to do? So there are a lot of issues when it comes to all these old operating systems. We are working in providing solution by building island of network behind machines running legacy operating systems. It can be resolved, but it's not easy. Use a firewall, right? Make sure your firewall is turned on. Many of us will. How many gamers are here? How many gamers that get download pirated software? Okay, I don't have to answer. I can see. I can read your mind, right? So many times when you get pirated games from illegal sites or gamestorrent.com, they are cracked games. They might have malware, but then again, these games or softwares will try to communicate with the server of that company to authenticate the validity of the software, the what do you call this, the authenticity of the software. So the cracker or the crack will basically say you must turn off your firewall because you don't want your antivirus, your illegal software to be communicating with the company software server and will try to authenticate, and when it fails it will then flag off your installation as pirated and you may get into trouble, right? Maybe, but also they have a reason because they also want their malware to communicate with the outside world without any problem. So they ask you to turn off the firewall. So if you are doing this stuff, I'm not saying that you should do, but if you are turning off firewall for the sake of using illegal software or games and so on, once you're done playing, once you're done using, please turn on your firewall back. Once you turn off firewall, it's very easy for malwares to communicate. It's very easy for them to download stuff, right? So you don't want to have a lot of ingress or egress communication happening from your computer. So it's very, very important. Windows firewall is enough. You don't have to install any additional firewall. It becomes redundant. It uses up too much resources. And install anti-malware solution. Just use what's available on Windows, right? If you have money, buy a legitimate retail anti-malware. Don't use the free ones. They are not effective. They just sit there and take up your resources. They are not effective. Just remain with Windows protection or get a paid, what do you call this, anti-malware. In my case, I don't have any anti-malware installed and it's not used any paid anti-malware for the past 8 years. I don't have any anti-malware. I don't have malware so far, because the best way is to know what you're doing. If you're going to do any hacking packy activity online, be on the know how to do it. If you're going to do something wrong, do it correctly. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. So learn what needs to be done in order to ensure, if I'm going to go to this certain site, it's illegal. Should I do, what will happen in the background? There are ways I will share in a moment. There are ways of doing that, right? Let me click on this. Okay. One way is to enable Windows Sandbox. Okay. If you are running on Windows 10 Pro or Enterprise Edition, okay, go and enable virtualization. I think if you're using VMware or VirtualBox, you need to enable virtualization on your BIOS. Once you do that, go to Windows feature, search for Windows Sandbox, enable it. Okay. So once you have that, you have an option to run a sandboxed version of your window. That means it looks like a fresh install of Windows. It's like a virtual machine, right? But it's built into Windows itself. It does not take too much resource, because if you use VMware and VirtualBox, you have to run a controller to run different which VMs on top of the controller. Here you don't need that. It just spins off the core of the operating system and creates another view of the operating system without any of the applications and all that. So it just makes a copy of the OS and shows it to you without anything else. So you can basically use this to install Chrome, right? Because of course, you need to run Explorer first to install Chrome. That's the only purpose Explorer is, right? Once you do that, do whatever you want. You can download software, install torrent, do whatever. Treat it as it is an actual virtual machine. Then once you're done with your naughty activities, right, illegal activities, you just close the window. And anything that has been downloaded during your activity, or anything that has installed itself on your VM, will be destroyed. So this is a safe way to ensure that this does not get into your actual operating system. It just stays in the virtual Windows, and anything you do, you can go crazy here, do whatever you want, right? Once you're done, close the window. Everything, all traces and everything is gone. You don't have to install. Of course, you can say I can do this with VMware, VirtualBox. Well, if you want a lightweight approach, this is only a sandbox. This is not a full virtual machine. It's just an image from the actual Windows you already have installed. So it's very lightweight. You can even play games in it, but sandbox. It means that within the box, everything you do is only within the box. When the box is removed, everything disappears. So this is one way to protect yourself from experimenting. You're not sure, go here first. Do a sandbox first, then you can eradicate or eliminate most of the issues that you may face. All right. Okay. So that's one way of doing it. Create your safe point. Right. Very, very important. Make sure this is enabled. Many of us overlook this. System restore is very, very important. Try to, how should I say? Try to create system restore point every month, right? You can, saves a small amount, a snapshot of your operating system and saves it somewhere. And you can restore it whenever your system gets damaged due to malware attack or even some other reason that is not foreseen, right? If you feel that the system doesn't boot, apps does not launch, I cannot do anything else, or I'm too tired to reinstall, just go to your restore and just restore back. It rolls back to where the restore point was, just uninstall. If you did not have any software, it will uninstall, it will reset back all the values and go back to that point of what do you call this system. So it's like traveling back in time in your Windows, right? So that is also very important for you to do, right? All these things are, you know, I'm tired, it's lazy, it's too much work, right? Do it. The world is getting dangerous. Do it, right? And this is also one of my favorite in Windows, Windows 10. Reset. You know, where if you have your Android or iOS, I don't know about iOS, can you reset iOS to factory setting? I'm not sure, but with Android devices, you can, you know, it's too bulky, too much stuff in it. You're not going to spend time, or it's infected with malware. I have no idea. This seems to be very slow. What do? You go to settings, reset to factory settings. It will wipe out everything and make sure the operating system is clean and fresh. So that's one feature that Windows 10 has. You can reset Windows 10. When you click on reset Windows 10, you can pretty much, you have two options actually. You can say, keep my files. You keep your documents, your files, non-application files, or reset everything, remove everything, clean it up. So two options. So normally what I do is I keep my files on a separate partition, right? You have CND. Now most of the system comes with CND, C and SSD, D and HDD, right? Where you store your data. C is for running application. So I will store my files in D, my applications in C, right? Games in D, right? Games are not important. So when I reset, I typically will remove everything on C, and I will do a fresh install of applications. If you don't want to install fresh set of applications, you can just say keep my files. There's option to say, do you want to keep apps also? There's option to do that. You can try, what do you call this? What I was about to say. Anyway, so you can try to keep whatever app you have, or MS Office and so on and so forth, right? So this is an important feature. So these are some of the things you can do to protect or prevent any malware intervention into your system. So most of the malware are actually bots. So beyond prevention, how do I do detection? No, although I've put all this in place, I've done all this, what if malware still got into my machine? This is my favorite tool, but this SpyHunter, go and get SpyHunter 5. Compared to all the other tools that I've seen, is that they don't give details of where the malware or where the unwanted programs or whatever is located. Where's the issue, right? This tells you where it is found. So you don't have to, this is not free, this is paid. The advantage is that you can download and run this for the first time. It will scan your entire computer and say, okay, we have found all this, right? Then it will say that, do you want to remove this? You say yes. It'll say wait 2 days. So what do? Close it, remember to come back after 2 days, launch it again. It will then allow you to remove whatever malware found in your machine, right? It will do it for free the first time. It will scan, wait for 2 days, you will remove everything. After that, it's no longer free, right? You have to pay to remove consequent malware found afterwards, right? So even then, it will be able to scan and tell you where the issue is. So what I did was I installed this, I did a scan, waited for 2 days, it removed all the malware. Then from time to time, I do scans, and this specifically on my son's laptops. They go crazy with the stuff they do. So I do scans, and I know where the issue is because it shows exactly where. Then I will manually remove the malware or the code injection and so on and so forth. So you can use it to consecutively scan and manually remove the issues. So it is the other option is install, scan, remove, then behave online. Don't do any more naughty things. Then you don't have to worry anymore. All right. So this is really good. This is called Microsoft Safety Scanner. You may ask, what's the difference between this and the virus protection provided by Windows already? Okay, you see, there's a couple of things you do, right? One, you have enabled your virus protection. Two, you can use SpyHunter to scan and find out, remove the first time at least. What if the malware is so what do you call this, so damaging or so strongly written that it does not allow you to make any changes to your computer? I want to run this, no. I want to uninstall, no. Your malware block everything. So what do you do then? I want to reset my Windows, no, cannot make any changes. So what do you do? Most of us will resort to reformat, reinstall. Yes. Now, before you go to reformat, one last resort is Microsoft Safety Scanner. Let me share this. So do you see the website? Do you see the website I'm sharing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is where you go, and so the advantage of Microsoft Safety Scanner is as the last resort. You download this software. It does not require you to install. It runs as it is. You download, you launch it. It will start scanning as shown in the screen earlier. It does not try to install. It does not try to change anything. It will scan. All right. So if malware is stopping you from installing, changing, and all that to your app, this basically is not an installable app. It just runs on the fly. So, and every time you go and download, the scanner is actually updated with the latest signature of malware. So do not use the old one. If you're going to do a new scan, always download the latest. I think it's quite large. Let me see. It's about 152 megabytes. The last time I downloaded was last year. It was about 110 megabytes. All right. So this is the last resort before you resort to reformatting. All right. I mean, reformatting, you don't have to do, it's last resort because you can always boot into what do you call this, safe, into menu, then choose reset Windows. You can do that before you go to reformat. Okay. So Microsoft Safety Scanner is the last resort to remove the virus. Still fails, press F8 during boot, then go to reset Windows. It will be able to do that from there because Windows is not launched at that time. Okay, so let me stop share screen again. Okay, always check for install apps. You go to Windows, type programs and features. You'll come and into this apps and features. Look at all the apps that has been installed and then sort by date from the newest to the oldest. See if there's any application that has been installed that you know that you did not, right? Some of the applications are already installed by Microsoft. If it says name like Microsoft Corporation, then it's probably, I'm not saying, because Microsoft Corporation are signed, so they are supposedly authentic, right? They are actual app, so you don't have to worry about that. If you find application without any signed applications or installed recently that you say, who installed this? Nobody else. They've used my laptop to install. This was installed by something else. So then you need to investigate further. You can right click on it. You can search the internet what it is about. Okay. Check your installation folder. See if, look on, once again, sort it by date and look for any weird folder that you find over here. Like for example, I purposely installed get infected with a malware. This is a folder that just popped up out of nowhere. I did not install any application on 3rd November. Where did this come from? Right? I mean 11 March, not 3rd November. Where did this come from? So you need to investigate this further. So launch your task manager, look for processes that you think is a bit weird. For example, if you look at the screenshot, I see I have CloudNet. What is CloudNet? Looks suspicious. You search online, right? You can right click on the process and search online. And if you look at the background, I mean, this is a Bing search, but anyway, remove CloudNet 32-bit malicious application. Wow. So I am actually infected with the malware. CloudNet is actually a malware, right? So then you click one of those links and follow the instruction on how to remove that particular malware. So this is a very important way. From time to time, check your processes, check your applications running, then search online. What is it, right? Is it something legitimate or is it malicious, right? So from there, they can advise you links that can help you to remove the malware. So this is important because a lot of malware gets into the machine through social engineering because we allow it. We switch out the firewall. Your malware says don't install. This seems malicious. We say no, man, step aside, and still want to install it. So it gets installed. So we do not know that this is malicious, right? After any naughty activities that you do, if it's not on a sandbox or a VM, after that, please check your apps and features and also your processes that are running. That's very, very important. So then if you find something that is funny over there, you feel that this should not be there, search online and see whether it's legitimate or malicious. All right. So you can also check the file location. For example, here, WUP. What is that? Right. So once I know it's malicious, I can actually, let's say this is also a malicious process. I can right click on it and say open file location and find out where that is. Right. Then it will show the location. And then you can go ahead and delete the file and the process, right? Right click and the process, come here and delete the process. And if you also see that it's running in temp folder, app data local temp folder, no application will run from temp, right? If it is running from temp, almost with certainty that it is a malware, right? Always. So a couple of things, check, search online for if there's anything that's available online talking about this. 2, find the location of the process that is spawned off this and see whether it's coming from, like temp or any other location that where it should not be. Then you can guess or you can educate yourself, saying that no, this is potentially a malware, right? You cannot. It takes time for you to get used to this, but these are some of the activities you can carry out from time to time, sanitizing your Windows operating system. The other thing you should do is launch your command prompt and type. Launch your command prompt as administrator, right? Once you have the command prompt, type Netstat -ban. So this will show all the communication that is happening between your computer and the outside world. For example, I have some stuff. I don't have any malware here. I have Mosquito running, MQSC. These are stuff I know, right? This is an MQTT broker, right? So I know this is something I've set up. So you need to look at, is there any other process or anything else that is trying to communicate? So this is communicating from my computer to the rest of the world. All right. So try typing Netstat.Dashband and see what's happening in your computer's network, right? Not your computer's network, but the network activity inside your computer alone, right? So this is, if you can, let me just remove the. So if you find it difficult to decipher what is shown by Netstat Dashband, you can download a tool called TCP View, which is a free tool that will do exactly what a Netstat Dashband does, but shows you in a more visual, more understandable way. It allows you to troubleshoot in a much better manner. This is my very old screenshot from the days of Windows 7, right? So TCP View is also very, very useful for you to visualize the network, the processes that are doing connection from your computer with everything else, right? Use safe and secure browser. If you want to be most anonymous, Tor browser is the best, but the most secure browser would be number one. Any idea? Which is the most secure browser? Number one, Tor browser is most private. From 2 to 9, which one is the most secure browser? Yep. Firefox is the most secure browser out there. I mean, score is already there. For the past couple of years, Firefox has been considered the most secure browser. It's not like Tor browser. Tor browser is for anonymity to hide yourself. But if you don't worry about that, Firefox is the best browser to use, right? Of course, I'm stuck with Chrome. I'm trying to what do you call this? Move away from Chrome to Firefox. It may take a bit time, but saying that Firefox is the most. Yes, Tor browser uses Firefox engine, but I'm not sure whether they are as updated in the code base as Firefox, right? So Tor browser will be 1 or 2 cycles behind Firefox. So, but nevertheless, yes. So don't use Internet Explorer. You know the purpose of it, right? Of course, you know, Internet Explorer has been assassinated this year, and they have moved to Edge, and Edge uses Chromium engine. So I'm not sure if anybody has used Edge, the recent version using Chromium. I've not used it. People say it's good. I have to try experiment and see. Always look for HTTPS. Anybody still use HTTP? Are pretty much not legal sites, probably laden with malware, pop-ups, code injection, and so on. Always check for safe browsing. You can go to Google's transparency report before go to any website. Go and check the status of the website on this portal. It will tell you whether it's okay. Cannot say that that's low usage compared to Chrome, but true. Okay. Anybody planning to do a study on that? Will be useful information, because I have not used Edge yet, so I will check it out, man. Thanks. Go Incognito. It's not just for specific purposes. Incognito also avoids you. It's like Sandbox, but Sandbox for browsers, right? It will not keep stuff in your browser history. It will not keep cookies in your storage. It will not keep anything. You close the window, everything is gone from the browser perspective. But remember, your communication from this browser, whatever website you visit, is still visible on the network. Your ISP still can see it. We can still see your activities on the network, just not on your computer. That's the only difference. But nevertheless, it still can prevent some cookie-based malware from getting in. Always tweak the site settings. Go to your site settings and remove whatever site that is not supposed to be there. You say think that certain sites have access to give notification, some should not. Go and remove them. Won't go into this activity controls. You can read all this. Search your extension and see if there's any malware installed. Make sure you have your adblock installed. Make sure you have uBlock installed. These are some of the things you should have. I wouldn't go into details of this. I will share with this. Wireshark, it's a bit high end. When I said TCP View only shows at a specific time. Wireshark shows you real time. It shows you everything that's happening on your computer's network and shows it in real time, right? Everything that is happening. So what you can do is to also check if your computer has malware, close all applications, right? Launch Wireshark, sit back and look at, is anybody in the background? Is anybody in hiding and doing some communication in your computer? So some of it could be legitimate, like if you have Windows, typically will have communication with Microsoft Server. Suddenly you see a process. What is this? It's talking to one funny IP address. Why is it talking? So you already suspicion. You already have a suspicion on that connection. You need to then drill down onto the IP address it's connecting to, find out where is it located. Is it blacklisted in any of the website? So you need to start investigating, all right? So a lot of time, you need to spend time investigating and find out what it is. That's how a lot of people, a lot of vulnerabilities are found, a lot of malwares are found by investigating, which you can do yourself now. Of course, Nmap. Nmap is a visual approach of Nmap. So you can run this on your network and see who is in your network and where they are connecting to, where you are connecting to. So, and also you can scan for what is the operating system run by all the computers in your network. What are the ports open in these computers? Then you can do a study of a network-wide security. So you can see, oh, this fellow has port 80 open. This host has port 22 open, but they're not supposed to have these ports open. So something is wrong. So you can then go to the person and say, hey, I need to further investigate your computer because we noticed there's a port open on your computer. You should not be there. So you can then go in and see what process is running on port 80. Then it potentially is a malware, then you can remove it, right? So Nmap is useful to look at what's happening in your network. Very useful for security administrator to identify if there's any botnet running, if there's any malware infestation, and so on. Right. So I will stop there. Any questions? I will share all these slides. Right. If any question, you can also email me. We can discuss any question that you have, any research you're working on. We can potentially collaborate. I'm focusing in terms of botnet now. I'm working on Mirai botnet, which is a malware that infects IoT devices. A couple of years back, the largest DDoS attack ever came from CCTV cameras. Right? CCTV cameras infected with Mirai botnet started doing DDoS attack all over the world, and it was the biggest DDoS attack ever seen. So I'm no longer looking at conventional botnet. I'm looking at IoT-based, device-based, peripheral-based botnet mitigation. So there are a few areas we can work on. If you have interest to collaborate in these areas, you can always contact me. We can see how we can move forward with that. Thank you.